does your adventure footage look a little bit, well, like this? And you're struggling to figure out, how do I get it looking like, well, this? Stick around, because this is the video for you. And I am sure you would agree that the second example there was so much more impactful, was so much more compelling and story driven. Now, that is exactly what we are going to talk about in this value vlog today. Now we're going to dive right into this, and we're going to go for a sort of split screen approach so you can see exact live footage. But first I want you just to think of one thing for the next 15 to 20 seconds. Think of one main focal point that is going to drive your story in your adventure. And then after you've thought of that, I want you to then think about supporting acts that will help tell that story from different angles. Now, where I currently am, the main focal point for me today I'm going to use is this log cabin just at the back of me. And from that, what I am going to use as my supporting cast, the supporting acts, firstly will be the view. Second, I'm going to use the actual exterior of cabin itself, and thirdly will be the internals, the actual equipment inside the gym. And you'll see that makes a great contrast. Now, let's get on to taking some footage. So first, I want to capture some views. That's the first thing that I want to do. And I'm thinking, right, how am I going to go about capturing views? And I might say, hey, I need to take a pan shot. So there's the first, and perhaps they'll get a little bit creative and go cool. That's what I'm going to put together. But don't think about it like that. Think about breaking down the views and tying it to the next part of the story. So my story is going to be 1 views, 2 exterior, 3 interior. So I want to get some views in, but I also want to get certain parts of the log cabin just sort of blemishing into the background. So perhaps I'll go with the first shot, maybe something like this. And I might go something like that. And I'll just take one more of them just to make sure. So focus on the wood first. And as I'm coming around, focus comes onto the cabin. So there, I've managed to capture views, and I've managed to get the cabin in the background. Now, I don't just want one shot, maybe I want 3 or 4, and I'm going to slowly build in a sort of choppy story. So next I might say, well, let's go over this side. Let's start about here, and we'll go. And that wood is nicely just overtaking the cabin. So that was pretty cool. So again, perhaps we'll go here. We make sure the focus is on the spars, and we just bring it along. So now we've got a nice sort of contrast of similar moving left to right shots, but we don't want everything to go left to right all the time. So perhaps we want to have a rising shot. See this? And let's put the focus on the cabin this time. Maybe we could take a shot off from here and very slowly come up with it. So with that, we've managed to get the background of the views with the cabin in every single shot. Now there's one more shot I'm going to take, but we're going to spin the camera because I have some greenery just off to the left hand side of me, the right hand side of the camera, and that's going to work very well when we're tying that into going down and looking at some shots on the ground level of cabin. So let's spin the camera and let's take them once. Now the second thing I want to do is get to the exterior, but I don't want to simply jump from the sort of decking based views right into the exterior without having some sort of linkage. And that's super important. So think of that. Think of what you can see when you're moving from place A to B? Is there commonalities? And with this, there is. So I might start a shot something a little like this. So maybe we want to do an up shot. Highly focused on there, and we're just going to come up. So we've grabbed that, and we're going to go one more. I'm getting amongst the trees a little bit. Something like that. So now that we've successfully sort of took in some of the views up from the decking area, what we want to go on to do next is to start working on the externals of cabin itself. And this is you basically moving from one supporting cast or one supporting act into the secondary supporting act. So the first thing we're going to do is the final shot we took up with the sort of the bushes and the leaves at the side of the decking. Because we will see that in the last shot, it makes it really simple to go from there to here. So now what I want to do is take my first shot here. So first shot, I absolutely want to get these plants in. If I come side on and crouch, we might get one shot doing something like this. We could take a second one there, just a nice shot, kind of bringing everything into focus, from the plants to cabin front doors to the trees. So that's pretty nice, and that eliminates the shadow problem as well. Secondly, perhaps I want to just make a little movement through the rockery. If I want to get right into the green. And what that's going to allow me to do, we're going to be able to basically blend that in really cool, because we're going to be able to go from the back green to the tree to the seat. We'll get the front of cabin in, and then we can move inside. Now perhaps we want to do some of the seated area. Perhaps if you've got a wide angle phone, you can bring the lens out. So how about we do something like this? Perhaps we want to take a little shot round from the side as well. More of a circular motion. To reveal. So we can see this, the shadows are gone, there's no sun, so great. Let's now work in a rising shot. Perhaps we even want to bring the lens in a little bit. And there we bring the trees back into shot. We could really go on forever, but that's some shots, and now we're going to go internally and finish up with some shots of the equipment. So now we're going to take some internal shots, and again, you might just do something like this. You might think the other way. Maybe you think, well, do you know what, I'm going to come here, and I'm going to pan over this side, and that gives me a view of that area, and then I'm going to come over here, just off camera, and I'm just going to pan over this side, and I can maybe draw them together, and maybe even I'll do something like this, and there we go. I've shown it off. I'm just combining the three shots, I'm done. Well, no, what we done outside is going to be exactly what we've done inside. We're going to think of the individual elements, and it's really easy inside the gym. Perhaps we go, right, let's start with something like this. So if we start up here, for instance, maybe we come down. And we'll just take it in a little bit more. There we go, so maybe we come down. And now we've got the dumbbells in, so maybe we now come across to the dumbbells, and from a top angle, we go. Now we're thinking we're going to go from a sort of raise down along the dumbbell. So let's naturally keep a curve in as we're coming round cabin. So the next stage might well be, well, I want to use this exercise bike, but I want to use this to rejoin that story and that linkage. So maybe we want to do something like this, where we take the bike, but we take it round back to that seating area. Maybe get that top bit in as well. and that's quite nice. So now think of this as a circular motion. We're moving around. We've used the bike to reconnect the viewer. Finally, we'll just finish off with the machine. So maybe I want to go uber wide here. And I think this will look really cool if we come from the very bottom and we race to the top. And if you look at the left hand side, I'm going to get the Cabin Fitness Centre flag in as well. So I think that worked well. We're going to move over to that flag to finish. So maybe we'll do something like this, where we just pull a little zoom in. And I can add a keyframe on that. And then finally, to finish, all I'm going to do zoom in a little more, almost into each individual letter. And that would be that. We've got several individual elements and we simply stitch them together. So hopefully what that's going to do is the next time you jump out to film, you don't just go left to right, up to down, maybe a little push in, finito. Think about the main pusher, the supporting cast, break each of that supporting cast down into individual elements, shoot them, put them together, and your footage will exponentially improve, taking you from the first example that we played at the start of the video to the second example.